I go back to the beginning of this year, a couple of conferences we would go to early in the year, February, March, AI is taking up 10%, 15% of the agenda. Then mid-year, you see it taking up 50% of the agenda. Now here at this conference, it's basically been the entire agenda. So it's funny how the industry, it's amazing actually how the industry is moving with the technology. The speed of evolution of the technology and the industry's following it becomes a paramount for all of us to have to discuss, because it is going to be a part of all of our businesses going forward. Organic growth is going to be paramount. The direction with which that organic growth comes is where kind of the big question is, right? And so what we've seen as an organization is we've seen more and more firms look to bring new lines of business within their practices. And those new lines of business are really driving a lot of that organic growth and that revenue growth. Some of it has to come with consulting on the front end, because the beginning of the discussion is, how do I even build or implement something like this into my practice, number one. Then it becomes, what strategies can I start to deploy with my clients to drive that revenue? And it's not just insurance, it's alternatives. I mean, look at the expansion of the alternative space. We have conversations with firms that distribute structured notes and all different types of alternatives that are entering into the space, because this idea of organic growth is not going to go away. It's become more and more prevalent. The other side of that is obviously, new client acquisition and finding new and innovative ways, and AI being a huge driver of that. We've seen that obviously with Client Gen and some of the things that we've developed as an organization, but we see more and more of that kind of permeating the space as well. AI driving into new client acquisition, finding ways to prospect, lead gen, all of those things. So that's not something that's going to go away. It's something that's going to continue to evolve. We just have to pay attention to it. Outsourcing is going to be a key piece of all of this kind of firm development, firm growth. I think that even the larger firms are wise to look at solutions to outsource some of these strategies and some of these pieces. One of the things that we've seen a lot is building out. If we're launching out, like for example, an insurance agency within a firm, and that firm has advisors in multiple states, to bring a solution to support those advisors in those states by a turnkey licensing solution that's outsourced. Or we see it on the marketing side, right? If they want to provide, like, let's say we have several client relationships where they kind of essentially use our marketing services wholesale. Look, there's no way that one individual or one firm can do that. The idea that we can bring the definition of wealth management to the marketplace without having strategic partners and relationships to drive specific segments of wealth management, whether it's planning, whether it's legal or tax or whatever it is that we're bringing to the table to achieve that, it's got to be done, I think, through strategic partnerships and relationships. I think outsourcing is going to continue to grow and evolve and become a big piece of the community going forward. Like anything else, engaging in a new line of business when it's outside of the realm of what somebody does on a consistent basis becomes challenging. In our world, specifically with regard to insurance, look, it's evaluating risk. Evaluating risk is messy. And so it requires like difficult conversations with clients and expertise in areas maybe the advisor doesn't have. So I think that is always going to be an inversion. The idea, though, is that as an industry, right now I'm speaking specifically of the insurance industry, as an industry, we have to get better about building a bridge, about creating some type of a pathway for the advisor to engage in this line of business. And it has to happen first by being at an event like this, for example, sitting around a place like this here in beautiful Marina del Rey and engaging successful firms and successful advisors, understanding the way that they talk and communicate to their clients, understanding kind of their culture and their language, and then building the bridge from the product manufacturer to end distribution. That kind of transcends industries. It's not just insurance, it's any industry, whether it's the alternative space or any other space. The idea is we have to listen to the client, right? And the client being the firm, the advisor, and ultimately understand how they communicate with their clients. And I think that's been the rub. You have firms that descend on a space and they want to sell their product. They want to engage their little widget or their thing. And so they don't take the time to listen and fully understand how the advisor operates, how they communicate with their clients, and then ultimately integrate the solution that they're bringing to the advisor. So I think that's been really a huge focus, is really to understand the challenges of the space, understand the culture, the language of the space, and then bring solutions that fit all of those challenges, the culture, and the language. The one thing I know is the human interaction, the human engagement, the relationship component of this business is not going to go away. That's something I think is going to be static across the board, especially up at the top of the market. I do think there's going to be a lot of automation on the mass affluent, kind of some more of the transactional side of the business. You're going to see some change there. But what it should do is open us up to engage clients in a way that we haven't been able to engage them in the past. Should actually enable us to do what we do best, which is engaging clients and creating and developing the relationships that we develop in this business.